It's 2 a.m. A 34-year-old software engineer in Austin can't sleep. She's staring at two browser tabs, one with a Robo-Advisor dashboard, the other with a human advisor's fee schedule. Her portfolio just crossed $200,000, and for the first time, she's wondering if the algorithm that got her here is the same one that should take her forward. That question, human or machine, used to be theoretical. In 2026, with Robo-Advisors managing $1.8 trillion, it's the most practical financial decision millions of Americans face. Here's what nobody tells you. The answer isn't human or machine. The data suggests something far more interesting, and it depends almost entirely on three specific factors about your situation. Today, we're cutting through the marketing hype on both sides. When do algorithms actually beat human judgment? When does paying 10 times more for a human advisor make sense? And when are you just paying for an expensive chatbot wearing a three-piece suit? Let's start with the uncomfortable truth the industry doesn't want you to hear. The robo-advisor revolution started with a simple promise: sophisticated investment management for everyone, not just the wealthy. No account minimums. No suits. No judgment when you ask basic questions. The early versions were crude. You'd answer 10 questions about risk tolerance, and the algorithm would slot you into one of maybe 20 pre-built portfolios of ETFs. That was it. Set it and forget it. But Fortune reports that today's LLM-powered advisors are different. They can account for complex scenarios: stock option compensation, home purchase planning, concentrated positions in your employer's stock. Industry projections via Fortune show robo-advisors are expected to manage $3.2 trillion in assets by 2033, up from the current $1.8 trillion. That's nearly doubling in 7 years. According to industry data, robo-advisors are projected to have 34 million users by 2028. That's more people than live in Texas. So why isn't everyone using them? Because growth numbers don't tell you the whole story. Where the money actually flows tells a different tale. Industry analysis shows that hybrid models combining automated portfolio management with human advisor access now capture over 60% of industry revenue. The market has spoken clearly. Pure robo-advisors charge between 0.25 and 0.5% annually. A traditional human advisor? Often 1% or more. That's a real gap on a $500,000 portfolio. We're talking thousands of dollars every year. Yet people keep choosing the expensive option, not because they're foolish, because something's happening in those human conversations that algorithms still struggle to replicate. As Institutional Investor reported in their headline analysis, robo-advisors and AI aren't winning against humans just yet. And the reasons might surprise you. It's not about intelligence. Algorithms are better at math than humans will ever be. It's about behavior. Specifically, yours. Here's a scenario that plays out every market correction. Let's call her Diana. She's 57, planning to retire in 8 years. March 2020 hits. The market drops 30% in weeks. Her robo-advisor sends an automated email. Market volatility is normal. Stay the course. Helpful? Technically. Comforting? Not even close. What Diana actually needed was someone to say, "I see you. I know you're scared. Let's look at your specific numbers together. Let's walk through exactly what happens if you sell versus if you hold." Research on investor behavior consistently shows that the single biggest determinant of long-term returns isn't asset allocation or fee structure. It's whether investors stay invested during downturns. Humans help with that. Algorithms, not so much. But let's flip the script, because humans come with their own baggage, and sometimes that baggage costs you real money. Robo-advisors excel at tax loss harvesting, automatically selling losing positions to offset gains. According to NerdWallet's analysis, this can add 0.5 to 1.5% annually for taxable accounts. Human advisors often forget or don't bother. Robo-advisors never panic. They never get emotionally attached to a stock. They never recommend something just because it generates a higher commission. And speaking of commissions, Let's talk about something the human advisory industry doesn't love discussing: conflicts of interest. Not all human advisors are fiduciaries. Some are paid to sell you specific products. That's not advice, that's sales with extra steps. But here's where it gets really interesting. The SEC has started cracking down on what they call AI washing, firms that claim artificial intelligence capabilities they don't actually have. The SEC has settled charges against multiple firms in 2024 and 2025 for misrepresenting their AI capabilities. In plain English, they said they had AI. They didn't. They lied. Some firms were charging premium fees for AI-powered analysis that was really just the same basic algorithmic rebalancing that existed in 2015. Same wine, fancier label, higher price. So when a platform tells you they use cutting-edge AI, what should you actually believe? Here's a practical framework you might consider using. Ask 3 specific questions. What exactly does the AI do? How is it different from standard algorithmic rebalancing, and can you show me a specific example? If they can't answer clearly, you're probably looking at AI washing. Move on. There are plenty of legitimate options. According to Fidelity's 2026 Money Trends Report, conversational AI, embedded finance, and biometric security are now expected to be standard features in personal finance apps. The bar keeps rising. But let's get specific about when each option makes the most sense, because this isn't one size fits all. If your portfolio is under $100,000 and your financial situation is relatively straightforward, no complex tax situations, no concentrated stock positions, not approaching retirement, pure robo-advisors tend to offer the best cost efficiency. NerdWallet's analysis of robo-advisors shows annual fees ranging from 0.25 to 0.52% for pure automated services. On a $50,000 portfolio, that's $125 to $250 annually. Hard to beat. But here's where it might make sense to pay more for human access. If you're holding concentrated stock from your employer, common in tech, the decision of when and how to diversify has enormous tax implications. An algorithm can tell you to diversify. A human can help you understand the difference between selling in December versus January, or using a charitable remainder trust, or gifting appreciated shares to family. And if you're within 10 years of retirement, the stakes get higher. This is when a bad sequence of returns can permanently damage your outcome. Research suggests behavioral coaching during this period often justifies the fee premium. Morningstar tested AI chatbots' ability to build retirement portfolios, and the results were mixed at best. The algorithm struggled with the nuanced judgment calls that retirement planning requires. When should you withdraw from which account? How do you coordinate with Social Security timing? What about healthcare before Medicare kicks in? These interconnected puzzles don't have clean algorithmic solutions. But here's the hybrid approach that many experts now recommend, and it's not just splitting the difference. One approach many investors find effective: use robo-advisors for your taxable brokerage accounts, where automated tax loss harvesting adds real value. The algorithm can execute hundreds of tax-optimizing trades that humans would never track. Then maintain a human advisory relationship for your retirement accounts and overall financial planning. Let the human handle the judgment calls, the life transitions, the behavioral coaching. The math on this hybrid approach is interesting. You might pay 0.30% on your taxable accounts and 0.75% on your retirement accounts with human access. Blended, that's often cheaper than full human advisory across everything. And you get the best of both worlds: algorithmic efficiency where it matters most, human wisdom where it matters most. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. What happens when AI gets better? Because it will. Fortune's analysis notes that earlier AI tools simply slotted customers into one of 20 or so baskets of ETFs based on a questionnaire. The latest versions, trained on powerful LLMs, can handle genuinely complex scenarios. Give it 5 years, maybe 3. The gap between what algorithms can handle and what requires human judgment will narrow significantly. But it probably won't disappear entirely. Because here's the thing about financial advice: half of it is math, the other half is getting you to actually follow it. And humans are really, really good at ignoring good advice when they're scared or greedy or overwhelmed. That's where another human being still makes a difference. So here's your homework. Look at what you're actually paying right now. If you're giving 1% or more to a human advisor for basic portfolio management that a robo-advisor handles just as well, you might be overpaying for a fancy interface. But if you're relying purely on automation while holding concentrated stop positions, approaching retirement, or navigating complex tax situations, you might be penny-wise and pound-foolish. The sweet spot for many people is the hybrid approach. Automate what should be automated, humanize what needs human judgment, and don't pay luxury prices for commodity services. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing. We cover practical financial strategy like this every week, cutting through the marketing to find what actually works. One more thing before we wrap up. The SEC's AI washing enforcement isn't just about protecting consumers. It's about making sure the financial industry doesn't ruin AI's reputation before it can actually help. Every fake AI claim that gets caught and punished is one less reason for people to be cynical when genuine innovations arrive. And they are arriving. The question isn't whether AI will transform wealth management. It already has. The question is whether you'll use these tools wisely or let marketing hype guide your decisions. Remember, your situation is specific to you. Your risk tolerance, your timeline, your tax bracket all change the math. What works for a 25-year-old software engineer doesn't work for a 60-year-old approaching retirement. The robot in your portfolio can be a powerful ally, but like any tool, it's only as good as the judgment behind it. Make sure that judgment is yours. I'm your host at Money Moves Daily. This is not financial advice. Always consult with a qualified advisor for your specific situation. Until next time, make smart moves.